Alright guys, we just finished the efficiency test on the stock PMR. Right now we're going to take it off, and this time I'm going to install the Smart Parts 360 QEV. The thing with this one is, instead of being able to change the barb in the front, we have a fixed barb. So what we actually need is an adapter, which goes from a 1/8 to a 1/16 inch fitting. Okay, so this fitting, the smaller side, which is the 1/16 inch, will connect to the 360 QEV as they match up, because they're both 1/16, and this side with a 1/8 inch will go into the PMR hose. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of snipping. We're going to have to try to fit these in with a very small amount of tubing, which is also pretty good, which is not too terrible. Alright, so we're going to get to it. We're going to take apart the PMR first and get rid of all this boxing. Leave these two things there. Get rid of this garbage. For the QEV, we need 1/16 inch inner diameter hosing. And for the part that connects to the PMR, we actually need the 1/8 inch, or I forgot what this is, but this is probably a harder 1/8 inch. This is essentially the larger tube for ions. Anyways, but we'll see what fits. For now, we have to take apart the PMR. First thing we want to do, take off all the grips. Actually, the first thing I want to do is take off the ASA. It was wiggling before, so it needs to be a little tighter. So this ASA uses a 332 Allen key to unscrew. Not terrible. I'm really impressed with how this ASA works. It's a push-on purge ASA made by Planet Eclipse, and yeah, it works very well, as you would expect from a product from Planet Eclipse, of course. So let's take this off. With the way the PMR comes stock, you actually have to take off the little mini rail that comes on it, which is this piece right here. This goes in it. You have to take that off to put this piece on. So right now I'm going to tighten this down and then proceed to take everything else off. It was wiggling before, so I didn't really like it too much. Alright, so fortunately for me, the reg kind of comes apart whenever I take it off, so this piece, it's not a big issue. I just need it out of the way. It doesn't really change the reg all that much. That doesn't control the velocity of the gun at all. So we're going to proceed to take off all these screws. I'm hoping to find when the QEV is installed, that the dwell will drop and the velocity will go up, which means that the efficiency will be better. But it's not very likely. I mean, at the very worst case, the only thing that will happen is the velocity will stay the same and the dwell will drop, which still plays a little role in efficiency, and it will eventually extend your battery life, as the battery doesn't have to work as hard to keep the solenoid open for an extended period of time. There's the grip. Let's get a battery. As you can see, ABS was turned off. That's the way I like it. Be very careful with these wires. Now you only have to remove this one here and the one on the side over here. This bottom piece goes to the capacitor, which you don't need to remove because the capacitor is actually on the frame, so it's not an issue. Now if you have a tweezer, probably better to use that instead of doing what I'm doing right now, which is yanking on the wires to get these things off, because eventually the wires will give and it'll snap off. But since I don't have my tweezers on me, I had no choice. So again, what I'm replacing is I'm replacing this fitting here with the QEV, and I have to be able to fit this small amount right in between, which is absolutely possible. It's not terrible, but yeah, right there. I would say that the clippered QEV is a much better fitting, because you can change the types of fittings that you put on it. You don't have to. You're not going from a wider end to a more narrow end. This can constrict air, but we'll see what happens when we install it. Because this is a 360 QEV, we don't really have to remove any of the other pieces. Just kind of this piece, and just pull it out of the solenoid. A little bit of elbow grease. Try not to break anything. Alright, looks like I'm just going to take this all apart. But this is to be honest, the PMR that I lost was more of an inconsistent PMR. This one's actually shooting much more consistent. It's a better PMR overall. Especially in terms of the hoses and things like that. You can tell it's very well taken care of. Practically brand new. Okay, so now I'll proceed to try to yank this off. Alright, I finally got it off. Fantastic. So now, it does look like this uses a thinner. So I'm going to use the red hose. This looks very close to, yeah, this is definitely much closer to this type of hose. We're going to use a little bit of this. We're going to cut off about 1.5 inches, because we really only need very small amount. So cut off 1.5 inches. Got that. And we're going to snip off 1.5 inches of this stuff. soon as I find the head. Alright, done. So what we're doing is we're connecting the 360 QEV. Goes right here. Easy. Now I'm not going to connect the other piece yet because I want to make sure I have the lengths right. I'm going to attempt to put this in here. Yes, it should slide right in, but it could be very difficult. We'll see. Okay. Looks like it's in. Just over the little space. Normally you'd want to push it in just a little bit further in, but alright, we got it a little further in. That's pretty much as far as it's going to go. Now what we want to do is we want to measure how far we need to make it so that we can put this in. Obviously, looks like we're going to have to snip at least half of each of these hoses off, so we're going to cut off half right now. I'm going to put this piece in here. Alright, we got that piece in. That took a lot of work. Not going to lie, that was very difficult. Okay, so now we're going to measure how far we need to put it from here. And it looks like it's just going to make it. And snip it off right there. It's going to be very tight. There's not a lot of room in there for stuff like this, so. But this piece should be a lot easier. This is hose, so it's not like tubing. This is tubing, so it's a lot harder to push into barb fittings. Okay, so that was it. That's our little strange little upgrade. And we're gonna fit this all back on, do a chrono test, and do an efficiency test. Alright, so I'm gonna put this all together and we'll go to it. But you don't need to see me put this together, as you've seen it a million times probably. Alright, so following this we'll be doing the chrono and efficiency test.